At first, it sounded like just another rumor. The kind people had heard before, dismissed before, laughed off before. But January 2026 changed everything. Because Meghan Markle believed her past was finally buried. She believed the dots would never be connected. She believed the whispers about yachts, elite parties, and powerful men would fade the way every other controversy had. Then Joe Rogan decided to say it out loud. And not quietly. Not cautiously. He said it on the largest podcast platform on Earth. 200 million listeners. When Joe Rogan starts pulling on a thread, the entire fabric unravels, and this time, the thread led straight to yachts, Prince Andrew, and a world Meghan has worked desperately to erase from public memory. Joe didn't accuse. He questioned. And those questions detonated like explosives. Because Joe Rogan doesn't answer to tabloids. He doesn't care about palace protocols. He doesn't soften language for royals, celebrities, or billion-dollar institutions. When something smells off, he talks about it, and he talks about it to an audience larger than most television networks combined. And once he started connecting Meghan Markle to elite yacht circles, Prince Andrew, and Epstein-era social networks, insiders say Meghan completely lost control. Lawyers went into overdrive. PR teams scrambled. Phones lit up behind closed doors. Because Joe had just dragged into daylight the one narrative Meghan allegedly spent years making sure never surfaced, the yacht girl rumors, and who she may have crossed paths with along the way. And Joe Rogan is not someone you can silence. He has already survived backlash from Spotify, attacks from mainstream media, and repeated attempts to discredit him. He cannot be cancelled, threatened, or bought. That's precisely why his involvement terrified Meghan's team. Joe had gone after Meghan before. Back in 2020, he openly mocked her relationship with Harry, suggesting she was reshaping him into a celebrity brand. He joked that royal life would quickly turn into endorsements and influencer deals. He was right. In 2023, he questioned her complaints about being objectified on Deal or No Deal, responding bluntly that the job was never presented as an executive position. Joe's style has always been the same: brutal honesty, no filters. And this time, he wasn't joking. Because when Joe Rogan starts asking questions about Prince Andrew, the most disgraced royal of the modern era, those questions don't disappear. They multiply. And the Andrew connection is where everything gets dangerous. The discussion didn't emerge from nowhere. For years, independent researchers and authors had hinted at Meghan's proximity to elite social circles long before she met Prince Harry. But those conversations stayed on the fringes until Joe gave them oxygen. Author Kirby Summers, who researched Ghislaine Maxwell extensively, has long claimed that Meghan moved within elite yacht and Soho House networks as far back as the early 2000s. Summers alleges Meghan may have known Prince Andrew well before Harry, possibly through the same circles that included Maxwell and Epstein. According to Summers, there may even be photos, never published, of Meghan on a yacht in Phuket, Thailand, with Prince Andrew dating back to 2001. Joe Rogan seized on that claim. Not to declare it true, but to ask the most dangerous question of all. If those photos exist, why hasn't anyone investigated them? That question alone changes everything. Because if such photos exist and were taken during the Epstein era, they wouldn't just be embarrassing, they would fundamentally alter the narrative of Meghan's relationship with Harry. And then there's Marcus Anderson, the man who introduced Meghan to Prince Harry, the global membership director of Soho House. A figure who appears repeatedly at critical moments in Meghan's story. Joe zeroed in on him. Why did Anderson believe Meghan was suitable for a prince? How long had they known each other? What networks did he facilitate access to before Harry entered the picture? Soho House isn't just a private club, it's a networking machine. Its entire business model is based on discretion, exclusivity, and connection-making behind closed doors. Deals happen there. Relationships form there. Powerful people meet people they would never meet publicly. And Marcus Anderson's job is to curate those connections. Joe's suggestion wasn't explicit, it was strategic. If Anderson had been connecting Meghan to elite men long before Harry, then her meeting a prince wasn't fate. It was networking. And that implication is devastating. Joe also brought up Yacht Week 2016 in Croatia, an event described by GQ as Sodom and Gomorrah at sea. A hedonistic environment where wealthy men and carefully selected women mixed under specific, unspoken arrangements. There is documented evidence Meghan was invited. Did she attend? No one claims certainty. But Joe isn't accusing, he's stacking circumstances. And that's what makes this lethal. Because when tabloids suggest yacht rumors, people dismiss it as gossip. When royal authors write about it, critics call it speculation. But when the most influential podcaster on Earth asks these questions repeatedly, the story shifts into mainstream consciousness. And Meghan's usual playbook doesn't work here. She can sue tabloids. She can pressure royal correspondents. She can threaten British media with defamation. But she cannot touch Joe Rogan. He operates in America. He has unlimited resources. And silencing him would only validate his claims. So Meghan is trapped. If she stays silent, millions hear only Joe's version. And silence looks like guilt. If she responds, she amplifies the story and invites more scrutiny. According to reports, her team is furious, but powerless. And Joe knows it. That's why he keeps asking. Why was Meghan invited into elite yacht circles? How did a cable TV actress afford such an exclusive lifestyle? Why does Marcus Anderson appear everywhere in her story? Why won't mainstream media investigate these connections? Did she know Prince Andrew before Harry, yes or no? Joe never answers those questions for his audience. He lets them answer for themselves. And people believe conclusions they reach on their own far more than accusations handed to them. This puts Prince Harry in an impossible position. If the Andrew connection gains traction, Harry looks catastrophically naive. Imagine discovering your wife knew your disgraced uncle through Epstein-linked circles before she met you. Imagine realizing your fairy tale romance might have been the result of calculated access rather than chance. Sources suggest Harry is already struggling, already questioning, already wondering whether William and Charles were right to be suspicious from the start. And the more Joe talks, the more Harry's love story is reframed not as romance, but as ambition. The Soho House angle makes this even worse. Because Soho House cannot deny facilitating connections without undermining its entire business model. And it cannot investigate Marcus Anderson without exposing decades of private networking practices. Silence becomes their only option. And silence feeds suspicion. For years, the yacht girl rumors stayed buried in conspiracy forums. Joe Rogan dragged them into daylight. 200 million listeners at a time. Now they can't be dismissed. And Joe isn't stopping. He keeps returning to the same questions. Keeps poking the same holes. Keeps reminding his audience that powerful people don't want these connections examined. And Meghan has no counterattack. No lawsuit. No PR strategy. No narrative control. Once Joe Rogan opens a door like this, it never closes. The genie is out of the bottle. And the final, brutal reality is this. The question is no longer whether Meghan can deny the yacht rumors. The question is whether she can survive the world believing them. Because to Joe Rogan's audience, silence speaks louder than denial. And once the story becomes the yacht girl who landed a prince, there is no rebrand powerful enough to erase it. Joe didn't accuse. He asked. And in doing so, he may have destroyed everything Meghan Markle built her image on. Forever.